Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is Sean, and today I have a new anniversary review for you. So it is the 45th anniversary of Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. Got the CD here. This was part of a little box set that came with like the first 5 albums, and the second box set came with the second 5. But anyway, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. So here it is. Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. Pretty cool album cover. Has kind of like the green face. Really like it. It's kind of like a different sound. The last album was Welcome to My... No, yes. The last album was Welcome to My Nightmare. Let me put that down here. And this is his second solo album. So the way it is that the first few Alice Cooper albums was the Alice Cooper Band. The band broke up. He released a solo album, Welcome to My Nightmare. And the second follow-up to that was called Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. So let me talk about it a little bit. This was produced by Bob Ezrin. So Bob Ezrin did a lot of work with Kiss. He did some work with Alice Cooper. So he's a very well-known producer. And he actually also plays keyboards on this album. So we have, it was pretty much it was a hit. You know, in the US it ranked on the Billboard 200 number 27. It was actually very big in the country of Australia. It ranked up to number 4, so it did very well in that country. But you know, this wasn't one of his best albums. But I'm going to be talking about the songs in a minute. Let me talk about his lineup. So on guitars, he has Dick Wagner. So he's been with Alice Cooper. He's also played with Kiss. We have Steve Hunter. He's also on guitars. He also played with Lou Reed. We have Bob Ezrin on keyboards, like I mentioned before. Tony Levin on bass, so he's a really famous bass player. Played with King Crimson and Peter Gabriel. And on drums we have Alan Schwartzberg. I think that I kind of wrote it sloppily. Hopefully I said it right, but he played with Mountain and Peter Gabriel as well. So Alice Cooper is kind of going through some personal issues. Like when they had this tour, he kind of had to cancel it because he was suffering from anemia and he had a drinking problem, and that does get addressed in some of the lyrics on this album. So if you saw the thumbnail and you clicked on the video, you saw it says like the disco album. Now, this is kind of a disco, not really a disco album, because I think there are only like 2 songs that are like disco oriented, but it is very pop oriented because in his last album he had a big hit called Only Women Bleed. That was a radio hit. And I think because of that, like in this direction, they kind of like went for another one of those big hits, and they did get one of those big hits with I Never Cry. But the rest of the song does have a lot of those kind of like sappy ballads. There's not a lot of like that hard rock sound. There are a few of them. I will talk about that as I go along. But anyway, let me go through the tracks. The album opens up with the title track, Go to Hell. This is pretty cool. It opens up with a cool percussion. Kind of like a slow building song, pretty cool, you know, drum beat to it. You know, it's kind of like has that old school feel. This is a pretty good song. Alice Cooper played the song live many times, and a good way to start the album. The lyrics are pretty cool. It's kind of like saying all these things of like how people are like criticizing him. You know, he mentions his drinking at some point in the song. And it's a cool kind of like a bouncy, almost like a funky song with some rock in it. The next song is called You Gotta Dance, and this is just straightforward disco. Probably not a song I like, but there are some elements I like about it. It has pretty cool percussion, but it's just a typical disco song. So, you know, that's kind of what he wanted to do at that time. The third song is called I'm the Coolest. Now, this is a weird song. He has a really like deep voice. And this reminds me a lot of Mike Patton in Faith No More, when especially on that like Angel Dust album, where he sings like these like cool like groovy songs with like a really low voice. So that's what this song reminds me of. It's a slow pace. It has like a simple bass line that goes, has kind of like a jazzy guitar solo. This is kind of an okay song. Track number 4 is called Didn't We Meet, and it's a ballad, but it's kind of like a power ballad almost, because it starts out with like piano, like a soft ballad, But then like the next section, like these like heavy rock guitars come in, and the rock guitars are reminiscent of that like 70s style. It sounds like the same tone as like the band Kiss. You know, it's Bob Ezrin producing this, so that's good. But this is probably one of my favorites because it does have those like hard rock song sound, and it does have like the soft piano to it, so kind of like different parts of the song kind of gets heavy, light. I like that one. And the last song on side one, if you have the vinyl, it's called I Never Cry. And this is actually one of his biggest hits. You could even say like his biggest hit, because in an interview, Alice Cooper said that this was actually like one of his best like selling singles. It was played on the radio a lot in the 70s, but it's one of those songs that like didn't get played like afterwards. You know, it wasn't something that you heard on like Radio Rock, so you might not know it. You might not have heard it like if you're like my age and maybe you don't know the song, but maybe you've heard it before. It's called I Never Cry. Pretty decent ballad. It was a hit. It hit number 12 on the Hot 100. They played it live a lot, and it's pretty cool. He also calls this like his alcoholic confession. So he kind of dealt with that in the song. So on the beginning of side two, it's Give the Kid a Break. So basically this is Alice Cooper doing like Elvis, or at least the first part of the song. Like the song does kind of go through different changes as it like progresses, but it has some piano, has some pretty cool memorable chorus. A lot of these songs are kind of like radio friendly. I think they were trying to like shoot for like the next big hit. They were like seeing what stuck, and it was the song I Never Cry that stuck. But this one does have different parts. It does have that like deep voice again, like I was talking about, like they reminded me of Faith No More. There's some rock guitars on it. So pretty cool song, not one of my favorites. This next one I like a lot. It's called Guilty. This is more of a throwback to that classic Alice Cooper sound. Some rock guitars, some guitar solos. Pretty catchy like guitar solo. So this is kind of more of like a straightforward rock song. So that's one of my favorites. Track number 8, Wake Me Gently. And this is like one of his like classic ballads. It has like a slight, that like haunting ballad feel. Think of a song like a Ballad of Dwight Fry, but it's not really that much. It's a lot poppier than that, but it does have a little bit of those like classic Alice Cooper elements. Pretty cool guitar solo, has some cool piano in it, some orchestral elements like towards the end, so it's okay. Track number 9 is called Wish You Were Here, and this is not the Pink Floyd song, it's just another one of those 70s disco. It's more of like a funk song, I guess. It's the kind of song you would like hear like on like one of those like 70s movies like Shaft or something like that. But it's pretty cool. It has pretty cool like electric guitars, like played like funk style. Has some cool parts, some cool drums, so not a bad song. The last two songs are kind of sappy, but track 10, I'm Always Chasing Rainbows. This is a cover, it's a vaudeville song, and in my opinion, it's basically just filler because it's one of those songs that was sung by Judy Garland at one point, but I know Alice Cooper likes theater, so that's fine, but I think for this type of album, it is kind of filler. The last track is called Going Home. This is another one of those soft ballads, a lot of strings, a lot of orchestral elements, very like theatrical style. Repetitive chorus, it's a catchy song. Not that great, but you know, that's how he ends the album. Definitely a step down from Welcome to My Nightmare, but they were going for a pop sound. It's an okay album. It's like not his best, not his worst. Alice Cooper, you know, throughout his career, like he'll put out like one great album and then he'll have a couple of okay albums. Then he'll throw another great one out. I think like only, he only had like 2 great albums in a row, which was Love to Death and Killer. If you haven't heard this album, you know, give it a stream. If you're an Alice Cooper fan, you know, you probably want to collect this if you want to like have all of his albums in his collection. So I'm not going to rank it, but if you want to see where I ranked it somewhere in the middle. You can watch my video on that. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Check out my in-video links. See you in the next one.